So I hope these 10 steps help you with how to hire a virtual assistant as a nice step-by-step guide for you. Hi, this is Brian Eisenhower, and we're going to talk about hiring a virtual assistant and what are some of the considerations and processes that you should follow if you're thinking of hiring a VA or a virtual assistant for your business. And we really have a 10-step process for making that hire and doing all and going through all the considerations you should before you hire a VA. And the first one is knowing, what type of VA you want to hire, right? There's lots of different virtual assistants out there that do lots of different things. So let's know what it is. Are we hiring a general virtual assistant, just a do-it-all person that can really do any of the following tasks I'm about to tell you? That's a general VA. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Usually it's going to be something office administrative, maybe even a little bit of sales mixed in there. But for the most part, this could be in the world of real estate. This could be a transaction coordinator. You teach to actually handle your contract to close process, or a listing manager, someone that works from listing to contract or even pre-listing, doing CMAs, inputting listings, scheduling and coordinating stagers or photographers, working with the seller. Is this VA going to go out and actually speak to your clients for you? Or are they just going to be limited to data entry and uploading paperwork and getting signatures via email? So knowing those differences is going to be very important for you. Are they going to work on marketing? So are you going to teach them how to do social media posting for you? Emailing databases, whether it's geographic farm databases or your sphere of influence. Are they going to be blogging for you? So creating online content for your website, posting on all the different social media channels, doing just listed, just sold posting, coordinating Facebook ads online as well too, and running those ads online and monitoring those ads online. They could be working on your website or doing web development. They could be creating, like I said, content for your blogs, could even move into sales. There are virtual assistants out there, of course, that can do some sales. So like an ISA or an inside sales agent, they might answer phone calls for inbound leads, or an outbound sales agent that makes outbound prospecting calls for maybe circle prospecting, calling around listings or calling expired listings or calling FSBOs for sale by owners and trying to convert those into listings for your real estate business. There's a lot more involved, of course, when you're hiring people to do lead generation for you. It takes a lot more monitoring. It's everybody's dream. I could hire a virtual assistant that I pay $8 an hour that could prospect for listings for me. But there's a lot that goes into that. And if you want to know more about that, please take our Inside Sales Agent course called ISA at our website for eisenhowercoaching.com, because I'm not going to go into too much of a deep dive onto some of the ISA considerations. However, no matter what type of VA we're bringing on, it's important to know they could be doing any of these different tasks. And there are virtual assistants out there that do all of these different types of tasks, and sometimes a few of them at once. For different real estate agents and different real estate teams. So we need to know who we want to hire, right? Number two is we got to know where we're going to search for them as well, okay? And some of the most popular platforms to find virtual assistants, you'll see it on Craigslist. Probably the most popular is a company called Upwork, upwork.com, upwork.com. It's kind of like a combination between LinkedIn and Fiverr, where it's where a lot of independent contractors that are a little higher pay scale than a Fiverr operate. And you can interview multiple people. You can actually behaviorally assess them, look at their job descriptions, try them out, give them tasks, part-time work, that type of thing. And your payment to them is actually uploaded in and paid through Upwork. And then once they complete the task, you can authorize the payment. And there might be paying a little bit up front and a little bit when something's, completed. And then ultimately you might hire them to work for you full-time going forward. That's upwork.com. That's probably the most popular one. Like I said, LinkedIn, you can find them on LinkedIn as well too, for searching for virtual assistants, and even Fiverr, Fiverr, Fiverr.com. It's a little lower scale than Upwork. I would say that's, a little cheaper people. Things cost less professional type of independent contractors, where on Upwork, you're going to see authors and ghostwriters and journalists and web experts and web designers. Whereas on Upwork, they're on Fiverr, lower professional gig worker type stuff on there that, might do a quick sketch for you, a quick little video. They charge like $10, for one-time gigs, things like that. Another, you can also go to virtual assistant companies. Probably the most popular one out there is myoutdesk.com, where they actually, have virtual assistants for you, and they have their behavioral assessments ready. And you can kind of interview multiple ones of those to see which one you like and hire them. And then they are paid through the virtual assistant company. So MyOutDesk is probably the most popular there. Those are some great places to find them. And there's others too. Just searching virtual assistants, on a normal search engine like Google will help you come up with a lot of options there as well too. Thirdly, number 3, let's have a good job description. That's very, very important to have a job description. We have to know where that job starts and stops. Like I mentioned earlier in number 1, we got to know who you want to hire. This job could start and stop all the way from pre-listing to listing to contract to close, and move into inside sales and outbound sales and web design and marketing and content creation. And what happens is we have to know where it's going to start and stop, because what happens is if you just slowly give them more work and this virtual assistant's working for you, at some point they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, when do I start getting paid more? You're giving me more and more work. Whereas if you start with a job description to begin with, it's probably the biggest reasons we have job descriptions in business, is so that people don't ask for more money later. You have a job description. Let's say you hire someone to do contract to close and then listing to contract. Okay. But you start them on contract to close because you have contracts you need help on right now. You're too busy. So you're showing them how to schedule appraisals and how to schedule inspections and how to upload files into the company compliance cloud server. And you don't really get to the listing stuff for a while because you want to teach them this first, right? And then 6 months later, once you feel like they have that down and they're handling the amount of work you give them fast enough, they should be ready to start handling your listing work. So then you start showing them how to input listings and things. They're like, wait a minute, this wasn't part of my job. If I'm going to do this work too, shouldn't you increase my hourly pay? And what you're going to say is, well, no, this was always part of your job. I just wanted to let you work on contract to close first before we moved on to listing to contract. Well, if you didn't tell them that, they may not believe you. That's why you need to show them a job description at the outset and say, hey, this is where you're going to start. We're going to start from listing to contract and contract to close. And we're going to start you over here on contract to close. Then once you get that down, we're going to move you over to listing to contract too. And that what sets the proper expectation that you're slowly going to be training them on the job, despite you're paying them for the entire amount of the job, even though they only know how to do half of it, let's say, until they're ready to take on the other half, rather than them saying, hey, I want more income for that, or I want more pay or benefits or whatever the heck you give them as consideration for the work they do. So that's the idea behind it. Real important that we show where that job starts and stops with the job description up front. For you and for them, right? Okay, then you're going to decide how much you'll pay. Okay, so usually, there's depending on what you're having people do all over the place. For administrative work, like not sales activity, so no inside sales agents or outside sales agents yet. For just administrative work, virtual assistants work for anywhere from $5 an hour to $20 an hour, and that usually depends on the average pay rate of where they live. Okay, not where you live, where they live. So for example, there's a lot of virtual assistants for whatever reason in Southeast Asia, like down in the Philippines. Well, people in the Philippines are used to getting paid like $4 and $5 an hour. So it's not that crazy to go to the Philippines through a company like MyOutDesk or any other virtual assistant company that has virtual assistants from the Philippines and hire a VA and only pay them $5 an hour. Okay, now understand there are some negatives that can come with hiring, virtual assistants in foreign countries. Like, for example, if they need to be on the phone with clients, they might have an accent from that foreign company. If for whatever reason, if they're hard to understand, that may not be good. Or they might not have local knowledge. They might not have life experience of what's normal in your area or your country or your part of the world, compared to their part of the world. So that may show up in conversations with your clients or prospective customers and things like that. So take that into consideration as well too. If you need someone with more local knowledge, then looking at a VA company that's based in the United States, there's a lot of those too. You might pay a little bit more. Now you might start going up well north of $10 an hour to obtain that. It just depends. If you're having someone just do data input where that's not as important, okay, then so be it. But now if you start moving into sales agents, right, virtual assistants that are actually converting inbound leads to you and things like that, now oftentimes it's good to incentivize them, right? So then we might pay them that base hourly rate, one of the ones we just talked about. And then you might even pay them like 5 or 10% of your gross commission income upon a closing, or they might even get bonus $250 or $500 per appointments set and conducted or closing that occurs. Usually we try to if we're going to bonus on appointments set, we always try to do it on appointments set and conducted, because it's easy to set a lot of appointments that don't show up. So make sure that it's the appointment set and conducted. So you've actually had the appointment. That means they set an appointment that was strong enough where someone actually showed up for it. Okay. And that's how we kind of move into sales as a general pay scale there. Again, depends widely on where the virtual assistant is located there. Okay. And then what you want to do is have an interview process. Don't just take someone. We want to interview people, right? And that's crucial. And this is where we want to actually have a good, again, we have a job description out there. We're going to put an online job post up, with these virtual assistant companies or on some of these platforms we've talked about. And then we're going to start assessing them, right? And the first thing we typically want to do is a behavioral assessment, right? You want to know what behavioral profile would be good for the job that you have. For example, if you're hiring someone to do outbound prospecting for sales, that's a very different behavior and character and personality than someone that's just going to do data entry or customer service for your existing clients. So really important that we know the difference between the two. And we like to use the DISC behavior at ICC because it's relatively inexpensive, and it's just pretty darn accurate, and they're very easily accessible, and they don't take long to complete. So you can give them to a lot of people, and they're pretty cheap too. So using the DISC behavioral assessment, we have a free DISC behavioral assessment on our website at eisenhowercoaching.com. You can go there, and at the top of the screen in the menu bar, you'll see DISC behavioral assessment. You can click on that and you can give that to anybody. Our ICC clients actually get unlimited DISC assessments that come straight to them, that they give to all their clients for all their hiring and all their potential hires and whatnot as well too. But an SC behavior is typically, it's a steady, consistent, thorough behavior is what you're looking for someone that's doing more administrative and clerical work. And usually you're moving into the IS, ID behaviors for the sales, for the outbound prospecting type. As a general rule, again, there's lots of different job descriptions we could have for all the different positions out there. And if you want to know more about what behavioral profiles should go with a particular job description, you can actually take our DISC course. It's our online course, again, at eisenhowercoaching.com. You can go into our online learning center and pick up that course and take the whole course. And it goes through the whole gamut of every position in real estate and what behavioral profile and why, and how to work with the different profiles for different positions on real estate teams and in real estate brokerages and whatnot as well too. Okay. So starting the interview process is number 5. And then number 6, we're going to test them as well too. We really want to give them a good skills assessment. Okay. And that's number 6. We're going to test them. So for example, we want to test them in some scripts and role play. I don't care who they are. If they're talking to your clients, your customers, or anyone, test them out. Give them a few tests. If they're just going to do data entry, have them do some data entry, a very small amount of it, maybe an hour's worth of work. Tell them you'll pay them for it even, and check back with them, and then go over it and make sure they're doing it. And they listen to your instructions and they completed what you had them complete. Have them, doing a testing their technical abilities too, their technology, their tech savviness. Have them email you, upload things, convert something into something, a Word document into a PDF and send it to you. Have them upload things things into your cloud server, things like that. Ensure that they can do the basics. Actually, Indeed.com. Indeed is a place where you can do a lot of online job posting. They have a wonderful technology assessment that you can give to people. It's a tech assessment on Indeed.com that you can give to people for, to ensure that they have a general degree of tech savviness before you work with them. So scripting, role playing, giving short tasks, giving them a tech assessment, and test them as part of your interview process. It's almost like a probation period or a training period. Give them a few things to do as an extended part of the interview process before you get into like an extended working relationship. All right. Make your expectations extremely clear. That's number 7. Make those expectations very, very clear. We want to make sure that you communicate everything clearly in writing. Okay. So this is great to put in. Just emails is fine. Doesn't necessarily be employment contracts or anything like that with a virtual assistant. This is just an independent contractor until you get to a point where you want to hire someone as an employee, like a W-2 employee. Typically you start out as just an independent contractor. So having an employment agreement is not necessary. And often in some states, depending on your state employment law, it's not a good idea. Check with your attorney on that. But for the most part, just confirming a lot of these things in email is a good idea, like your payment expectations, when they're going to get paid, exactly how much they're going to get paid. What are their expectations for tracking their time? How are they going to report their hours? What about their job availability? When are they going to be available? When are they not? What days do they work? What hours do they work? Depending on, your time zone and their time zone. And again, the job description, when it starts and stops. Make all those expectations as clear as possible and in writing so there's no confusion, because we don't want ill will. And verbal things get twisted in our head and our memories over time, and that creates a lot of ill will and bad culture in your relationship together. So clear it up, put it in an email. That way, if someone gets kind of off, they can be reminded and then, oh, okay, that's right. It makes sense that way. We remember the same way, and we confirm everything in email up front that way. Okay, number 8, use some sort of project management software. I wouldn't just email things back and forth all the time. A lot gets lost, and it gets a little bit confusing that way for people. So have a project management software on some sort of cloud where you both can put things and pull things off of. The most popular one probably is Google Drive. Trello is a very unique and flexible online platform where you can put documents and images and workflows and ideas up on Trello as well too. Asana, Asana is Asana. Trello is Trello. Or even just a CRM, a customer relationship management system, like your real estate CRM that you use for your business as well too. Tons of those out there that work very, very well. Okay, so make sure we use a project management software of some sort, so we're not just emailing back and forth all the time. Get them logged into that so they can share information back and forth there. Number 9, focus on communication. Right, you want to meet with these people very frequently when you first hire them. I recommend when you first hire a VA to have a standing meeting at the same time every single day for at least the first couple of weeks, depending on how extensive their job description is. I like to see you meet with them either first thing in the morning or towards the end of your day, so long as that works out for their time zone, depending on where they are in the world, where you meet with them every single day. And the agenda of that meeting is very simple. 1, they can ask you all the questions they have for you. And 2, you can ask them all the questions that you have for them. So that way you're not constantly emailing back and forth and bothering each other while you're both trying to work throughout the day. You can save up those questions and have a nice forum where you both can focus on each other and discuss them in your daily meeting, right? And then after a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, we might scale that back to every other day. And then ultimately get to a place where we're just meeting them once a week, same day, same time, same format too. You save up your questions for them, they save them for you. There should just be less questions by that time. And that's when you can go back to that once a week. It's when you start showing up for those meetings, you just don't have anything for each other. So you start dialing that back. Make sure it's same day, same time, and make sure it's very consistent. You don't cancel that a lot. Make sure that's sacred ground because they're waiting for that. So if you're constantly showing up as an employer that's disorganized, no one wants to work with that, right? You're always canceling. You never show up for it. You're making someone feel like a low priority. Don't do that. Keep it sacred until this person gets their legs underneath them, right? And then lastly, stay organized, right? Again, use that cloud drive. Make sure we're very organized, right? And make sure that this is probably the most important of staying organized. Make sure they keep you organized, right? Oftentimes they're creating new, what we call SOPs or standard operating procedures for you, like from listing to contract or contract to close. They're creating this workflow checklist for you. They're creating this, social media marketing calendar for you. Make sure that they're actually creating it and documenting it, and that it's shared with you. And that's another reason why we have this cloud driver, this project management software. So it becomes your company's standard operating procedure, okay? And that way, if they quit or you have to fire them, you can then take it and train the next person with it, and they can continue to build on it. So by staying organized, we create a standard operating procedure that they themselves must document. So they're creating their checklist, they're creating their workflows. And then for whatever reason, if you discontinue working with each other going forward, then you've got, your structure in place and your system in place and your process in place so that we can train the next person on that workflow. So make sure we stay organized and have them document their processes because they're your processes too. So I hope these 10 steps help you with how to hire a virtual assistant as a nice step-by-step guide for you. Good luck and best wishes. Talk to you soon.